Monday night's Met Gala saw a lot of media attention directed at what's widely regarded as New York's greatest and most glamorous party. The big event also caught the attention of the anti-Israel pro-Hamas protesters who have been occupying campuses and filling public spaces throughout the city for some weeks now. A detachment was in the middle of making its way to the gala and seemingly was headed off by some strategically placed police detachments. They were then left asking themselves, presumably ought to do with the rest of their evening, and they decided, among other things, to, as they marched around the Upper East Side, vandalize a stone monument in the wall of Central Park commemorating the soldiers of the 107th Infantry Regiment. That's a New York infantry regiment that fought in the First and Second World Wars, as well as a statue of Union General William Tecumseh Sherman. They burned flags, they graffitied both, saying "Free Gaza." All in all, it was a somewhat memorable expression of political rage. It does, however, raise, I think, an interesting question. The protesters have been quite clear and, to a certain extent, quite narrow in the focus of their anger. They want an immediate ceasefire in Israel's humane and justified counterattack against Hamas. They want the Biden administration to stop backing Israel, stop sending them aid, either lethal or non-lethal or otherwise. They want an end to what they describe as the occupation of Palestine, and a whole laundry list of demands related to the political and military conflict between Hamas and the Jewish state. Fine. Obviously, people can and do have many different opinions on which side is in the right, which side is in the wrong. But why on earth would this group of protesters take their anger out on these two military commemoration statues that have absolutely nothing to do with this conflict? To make this clear, the 107th Infantry Regiment was a sort of a resuscitated version of the 7th Regiment. It was first kind of gotten together in 1916. It continued on until 1993, so it doesn't even exist anymore. It fought largely in a world where the political concerns of the protesters simply did not exist. And to the extent that it was anywhere close to them, it had nothing to do with that sort of Israel-Hamas conflict, or the larger conflict of, the Israeli political project and, the various Palestinian political projects. Sherman is even more remotely separate from these questions, having, of course, been a Civil War general, best known for carving a path of total destruction from Atlanta to the sea, as the words of the old song have it, towards the end of the war, through slave-owning Georgia. As a side note, Sherman, you would think, would be the kind of guerrilla tactic-embracing, slavery-hating liberation fighter these protesters might actually be on the side of in some strange way. But no, even his actual efforts to destroy an evil and unjust society weren't enough to earn him immunity from their vandalism. So what is motivating them? It's hard to say. Possibly just that kind of instinct that seems to rise up in angry mobs of, we have to destroy something. We're already gathered here. We need to break some window. We need to spray paint some object. But I do think there is a strong case to be made that these attacks, and they were attacks, make no mistake, on icons of American military bravery and the just use of American military power, these attacks don't spring from any political consideration having to do with the conflict between Israel and Hamas. Instead, they stem from a kind of base layer of eternally bubbling and boiling hatred of America. It seems to me that one could very easily make that argument and extend it by saying that there is a perverse and pernicious connection between the hatred of Israel that these protesters evince and their seeming hatred of their own country and its history and its institutions.